That was quick. Anyway, getting back to the other thing that we were talking about quickly and briefly. Obviously, like the hits keep rolling, but the Senate Republicans have come out and said anti-Semitic Abdul El-Sayed is campaigning with pro-Hamas influencer Hassan Piker in Michigan. So if Abdul El-Sayed is anti-Semitic, then it's a given that he's also stomping with another anti-Semitic Hamas supporter, right? Like, I mean, there's this you're kind of busting a nut too early, it seems. These extremist views should never be allowed near the U.S. Senate. Brother, you are the Senate Republicans.
Yeah, I'm going to say,
calling someone on the Democratic Party side extremist is so funny when you are the Senate Republicans account. You know, we can see your other tweets, right? Yeah. Hassan Piker blames Israel for October 7 at Qatar's Web Summit. True. Okay. Yeah. Stand by that. But also, hold on. Where is it? Where the fuck was it? I lost it. God damn it. All right. Let's just fucking shut this shit off real quick. I love that these guys also say like a very popular Twitch streamer. Like they always have to glaze me too, because most people in their audience don't know who the fuck I am. So they have to like, increase the danger here.
No. That's a different thing. That's because they've got to make this world where everybody's like, they need to say like, hey, listen, you know what's very popular? Anti-Semitism.
You are not on camera right now.
Oh, whoops. They're saying you want to be anti-Semitic. I just don't want to eat on camera. It feels unseemly. Anyway, they say you want to like, they say that, oh, he's a very popular Twitch streamer, all this stuff. And it's a way of like trying to normalize the idea that anti-Semitism is everywhere in American life and that they're active Jew haters who are visible everywhere and that they need to be like called out for that, like it's in this particular way. And it's like, I don't think it's like, that's why I don't think that they're glazing you. I think the fact that they're talking about you is taken as evidence that you're somebody significant, but it's that they want to convey this idea that there is like anti-Semitism, in every cupboard, under every bed, etc.
Yeah,
they want Jews to feel like their Jewish audience to feel scared. They want them to feel scared, and that there is an active threat to Jewish lives in America that, like, as we know, largely doesn't come from anybody who holds like identifiably left-wing politics. It does really typically come from the other end, to the extent that it exists.
Just make fucking drones. Leftist streamer Hassan Piker gives audience to suicide bombers in his audience. Gives advice. This article definitely was written. This headline.
Oh, that's Breitbart.
Yeah,
I recognize that. That's the like, Breitbart style guide sticks out.
They're saying that I have an audience of suicide bombers. The New Yorker trashed for inviting pro 9/11 radical Hassan Piker, who called Israelis inbred to speak at festival. Cheerleading for terrorism. Twitch star called for new 9/11. Dismissed horror of October 7. Called for new 9/11. Lefty influencer Hassan Piker kicked off Twitch after sick comments about DC Jewish museum shooting. Remember,
it wasn't your comments. It was just because we were talking about you were showing the manifesto.
Yeah, but okay. I also don't have suicide bombers in my audience, at least to my knowledge. And I've never called for a 9/11 too. You know,
it's true. You know what? I don't think that there are many suicide bombers in your audience.
FDD guy writes for the Real Daily Wire. The woke circus has Hassan Piker coping.
Check out my first piece for Real Daily Wire. Is like one of that's like a
these guys are falling off the map.
Like they say, like the saddest short story ever written is baby shoes never worn.
Yeah,
like one of the worst threats that you can open a sentence with is my first blog for the Daily Wire, folks, is here.
Yeah. Piker stated that America deserved 9/11. El-Sayed just blamed the Islamist synagogue attack in his state on Israel and called doing so leadership. I don't even know what Abdul El-Sayed said about the synagogue attack, but I highly doubt that he was like,
no, of course, but
no person is like going to straight up. I mean, even if there is an association that like every synagogue has with the fucking state of Israel, and it's like this unholy association that absolutely makes normies fucking go crazy in general, because they just see transparently when you're like plastering the Israeli flag everywhere and saying like we're doing IDF donations.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. You think that Jews have something to do with Israel? Excuse me while I take off my full Israeli flag tracksuit that I have while I'm running around in a it's just so disingenuous.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing is like the reason I say it's disingenuous is because I do actually think that they are aware that like this is like overheated rhetoric, let's say, but they believe that the only way that they can triumph is if they're able to like get one over on people by convincing them that there is this, again, like this insane deep, I mean, there is this deep threat from people like Hassan Piker teaming up with Abdul El-Sayed.
In any case, you know, everyone's losing their fucking minds over this. Yeah, why is he still here and not deported? He's a terrorist.
Deported back to the place of your birth, New Jersey.
Yeah. New Democrats likely 2028 nominee President Gavin Newsom to sit for an interview with Muslim streamer who recently taught his viewers how to make suicide drones. Gavin Newsom is doing a podcast with Hassan Piker, Hassan the Hun, who recently taught people how to make suicide drones with Twitch live stream. FBI Director Kash Patel, Gavin Newsom is amplifying a violent Turkish Muslim. How is this not a violation of U.S. statutes prohibiting material support for terrorism? It's so funny because the clip literally doesn't say what they think it says. Have you seen this?
No, but I'm sorry.
Literally being
Laura Loomer miss being
Canary Mission. This was where it came from.
I even all the better. It's crazy.
What are these fucking at Laura Loomer watermark Popstanox on the corner? What the fuck's going on?
It's like a joke that like Tom from Chapo would do.
Yeah, it's just like. It's so funny that these guys are all like, Hassan is teaching his audience of suicide bombers how to do suicide bombings when it's me literally saying commercial drones have rendered suicide bombing a relic of the past. It makes no sense. When I was talking about like the Taliban, saying that they, to the Pakistani government, like, oh, you have nukes, but we have suicide bombers. I was like, bro, you're just LARPing at that point. You know what I mean? Like, you could just go and purchase commercial drones, and for the price of like $11,000. Like, there is like shit that you can find on TikTok is crazy.
It's a new epoch we're in. Like, there was that guy who's the clip. I hadn't seen this channel before, but the one Scahill was on. What's his face? Deep Dive. Daniel Davis.
Oh, Daniel. Yeah.
And it was like the logo for his whole channel is a quadcopter.
Yeah.
Like it's not. Like I said, I'm shocked that Canary Mission and Laura Loomer, such upstanding citizens, would misconstrue what you were saying.
Yeah. In any case, it's really funny that, you know, they're chirping, but it's just not, it's utterly irrelevant noise, background noise. And I think most people understand that this is just like another line of attack because I don't represent like Israel first politics. And that's precisely what it is, right? Because like, that's just how these guys operate. It's like, oh, if you're not doing Israel first politics, like then you're an anti-Semite. You're an anti-Semite. You're a danger. You're an ever-present danger, and you need to be stopped. These same people who make beeper jokes, yeah, exactly. Anyway, whatever. The Canary Mission shit, I'm not even going to get into. It doesn't matter. It's old news. But it is funny that there is like now a coordinated attack with all the Never Trump Republicans and also all of the third way liberals and the entirety of the right is just like losing their fucking mind.
There is one thing that's worth actually emphasizing about this, which is like, all right, why is like the Third Way think tank, which plans to spend $50 million, so a deeply well-resourced organization, you know, flush with like, you know, like billionaire money, whatever. Joe Walsh, like why do all these people like why are they going after you for this? Whether it's the campaigning with Syed or the Cuba stuff, whatever. And I think on some level, part of it is just that now they're like they can't actually argue these things on the idea level anymore. They can't try and put forward like a program that says, well, here's like what an alternative, better perspective should be. So they can only look for avatars of the politics that they're opposed to and do everything they can to delegitimize those avatars by any other means. To say that they're actually, you know, unserious, you know, they support extremism, that they foster a certain kind of hatred. And they have to do all that because, again, now more than ever, more than any other time in my life, particularly when it comes to matters related to Israel, on any other issue, have like there's never been anything like this where they just can't talk about the issue itself. It has to be anything else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's crazy because everyone is talking about it. Like that's why it's like the ground has shifted under them, and they are completely unable to address that reality. So they think they can do business as usual, like smears and outrage manufacturing.
Yeah,
but the ground has shifted on that issue as well. Like the whole, oh, look at this out of context clip. This guy needs to be canceled. Like it doesn't work anymore in general for every other issue, not just, especially for this one, because it's so commonly deployed that people are just like, you say that about everybody, right? But it's very obvious. It's very obvious that like both the woke scolding and the cancel culture narratives don't work, even though the Republicans are trying to actively deploy it. And in particular on the Israel issue, when you do that, everyone knows exactly what's up. I personally don't enjoy it. I will say, sitting in my position, I don't like that, from Andrew Cuomo's failed mayoral campaign to, all these other fucking people. Like these are Israeli agents, right? Like these are organs of propaganda for the Israeli state.
And
they get subsidies from the Israeli
and they try to hide, or if they're not like directly by the Israeli state, like Canary Mission investigative journalists have found like it's gotten a bunch of money from the Milsteins, and like they, again, many of the influential billionaires and others who fund pro-Israel organizations and are obviously like working in some measure with the Israeli government. Like these are they operate from the shadows because they know what they do is so silly and dark and unjustifiable on its own terms, and in a civilized country would probably be against the law.
Yeah, it's unbelievable that I'm in the crosses of a fucking very powerful foreign state that has outsized influence on American domestic affairs and certainly American foreign policy. But I do think that Abdul al-Sayed's biggest issue right now is his lack of name recognition internally in Michigan. And I think this kind of like unlimited attack against them is going to boost his profile. It's like perfect. It's a perfect way to make him more prominent. So I think this is going to be good overall. When all of these fucking losers are chirping about Abdul al-Sayed, people are going to be like, yeah, there it is. No, it's not because you're a threat, bro. You're the only guy. I'm not. I'm just a
also
megaphone.
in the case of Canary Mission, like Canary Mission goes after many people who are just, like if you were a college student who was a member of your SJP chapter, at Tufts in 2015 or something, and now you're a social worker or something, congratulations. You may also have a page on Canary Mission that smears you as an anti-Semite and a Jew hater. The difference is just that obviously like Hasan is somebody with a much larger individual profile than them, but they go after everybody. They do not discriminate. I do also think that there is now too, like, again, like we were saying, because they can't talk about the issue and they have to argue about literally everything else, they're just going to lean harder and harder on this, and they're going to raise the salience of the issue in the worst possible way. I don't know. I agree with you that I think that they're just making their situation worse if this is their strategy. Unless they successfully work the refs, because that's perhaps one of the other goals here.
No, they're working the referees. They're actively trying to get, like, this kind of stuff will cause, maybe not Abdul, but like other like established, higher profile left flank candidates to like shy away from openly associating with me because they don't want the headache, right? And yes, of course, I'm talking about, Zoran or AOC. I don't think Bernie gives a shit necessarily. He is 800 years old. He doesn't care. He has his own opinions. I have my own opinions. We have some disagreements, but it doesn't matter. There's a mutual respect there. But like, ultimately, they can't actually change the attitude of the base. They can't do that. They've lost that, right? But what they can do is try to get Democrats to not associate with someone who is a fairly large megaphone for the attitude of the base. And and therefore make it seem, at least in the political class, as though this is still unacceptable. This line of communication is unacceptable, which is, in my opinion, abso-fucking-lutely a mistake for the Democrats. I don't give a shit if Democratic Party politicians don't want to associate with me. I don't give a shit about that at all. I know a lot of people really care about that, especially these fucking loser ass like Democratic Party mouthpiece, like DNC mouthpiece influencers that all they care about is like access. I don't give a fuck. I have the platform, and unironically, it's not necessarily great content when I'm doing these sorts of interviews. It's not great content for me at all. It's not what I like doing. It's not what I'm good at particularly. I do it because I want to help out these people, right? And even if I never did another interview with another candidate or never actually associated with another candidate going forward from this point on, it wouldn't change anything from my perspective, right? It would not change anything at all. So just join us on getting triggered by shit libs again. It's not just shit libs, it's the entirety of the Republican party that's coming after me and Abdul al-Sayed. I'm going to say the entire Israel First Republican Party is actively coming after me and Abdul al-Sayed today. This kind of outrage manufacturing and false smears no longer work. Americans have woken up. That's fine. Americans have woken up to the reality that we must stop Israel.
One edit.
What?
Add an S to work. Because it's this kind of.
Wait, where is it?
Where it says no longer work, make it works.
Oh, no longer, false smears no longer works. Yeah. Oh, true. Americans have awakened to the reality that we must stop Israel. There it is. Boom. Human Grammarly. Yeah. I mean, he is my editor. So, sitting right next to me. Speaking of people you need to talk to, Melek Kuros and CO1, she got a boost from Rokana this weekend. Yeah, I saw that. The entire GOP party is gross. Who identifies GOP? They have an internal processing issues. Yeah.
Oh, you're talking shit about Abraham Lincoln? Really?
Yeah.
Okay, go off.
The smears aren't working with Zoran either. Yeah, I mean, it's not, of course.
Yeah, I actually think that this is like Zoran is kind of a good way of illustrating this, where it's like, this isn't about like glazing Zoran, but it's about how if you occupy a certain kind of lane, which is to say that like, you don't really, you don't really give in all that much, you still like, you still have dinner with Mahmoud Khalil and so forth. And you still represent that your position on the issue, your positions on this issue have not really changed.
It doesn't work on Plattner either.
Exactly. It doesn't work. And so they're now they're running scared. And that's part of what, this is, by the way, this is the same reason, by the way, like they don't know how to hit. They really have no idea how to hit like a Carlson or Fuentes, because it's the same problem.
Yeah. This is disgusting. Matt Bennett, Third Way Matt. This is disgusting. Third Way Matt getting retweeted by Reagan Battalion. I mean, that's it. That's all you need to see.
Yeah, center left, center left.
Yeah, this kind like center left shit slingers, dude. Oh my god. I think if Democrats are smart, which they're not, many of them are not, unfortunately. Many of them are very biased, right? Many of them are also totally invested in what Trump is doing in Iran. But if Democrats actually want to win, this is not even about fucking embracing someone like myself. I don't give a shit. Like I've said that already. It's worse for my quote unquote brand. If I don't really necessarily care about that sort of thing, but if it's worse for my brand that I associate with Democrats and vice versa, right? And the thing is, if Democrats don't lean in and lead on the anti-Israel issue, they are going to lose the conversation to grifters on the right who will take on that mantle.
Yeah.
And there are those who are doing that already. Another fucking alarm bell that I'm ringing. There were many many warnings that I gave to the Democrats, and every single one of them panned out. Every single one of them materialized. Okay? Every single one. And I'm warning again, just as I warned both Ro Khanna and members of the DNC over and over again, if you concede to the Republicans on this stuff, if you concede to the Republicans on the framing of like immigrants constituting a national security threat, you're going to lose. If you don't say anything about Israel, if you don't actually decouple from Biden and Biden's Israel policy, you're going to lose. Okay? If you come out and continue, to defend Israel in the campaign, you're gonna, if you come out as like more militant on America's like adventurous policies around the globe, Republicans are going to be able to present themselves as like the peace party, and you're going to lose. All of those things happen.
Yeah, like that's a good Trump has started the Iran war, and there is a real chance that in 2028 a Republican candidate for president could plausibly run as a peace candidate. I'm not saying they are a peace candidate. I'm not saying that they're right,
yes,
obviously, but it's that they can get away with it. And it's partly because like Democrats will just like lie and roll over on this messaging every time, but also because the last time Democrats were in power, and a presidential administration that like they haven't appropriately rejected, not unlike every aspect of the Biden administration, but particularly its foreign policy. There's now, it's like the stench is still there. It's March of 2026. It's been a year and a half since the election, and it's unbelievably confusing how, what the Democratic position, what a Democratic party position is supposed to be about what it is that, what exactly is our foreign policy here?
Yeah.
Is it just a nicer Trumpism essentially?
Yeah, it's like Trump, but like with the appropriate process. What Trump is doing is good. It's just we don't like the way he's doing it. We don't like the way he's conducting himself. And like, you don't understand. People voted for Trump to behave in this unorthodox manner. Okay. If you're just simply defending the process, you come across as an institutionalist at a time when people are demanding that the institutions fall apart. You don't read the room and you don't have an adequate line of defense. If you concede to the actions that Trump is committing, where you justify it, where you say like, oh, well, Iran is a ruthless, tyrannical government. Of course, we're happy that like the Ayatollah is assassinated, but we just don't like the way he went about it. Well, you're a fucking idiot then. Like, you're literally telling everyone that you agree with Donald Trump and he did the brave thing, and he did it in a way where it was much more successful than whatever wishy-washy centrist bullshit you were going to do.
Also, it is like, I think some of it is like process is not, I will say this, I have a slightly more generous interpretation of some of the process stuff, which is that I believe that liberals go to the process critique because of not necessarily an opposition on the moral grounds, but because for the last quarter century, even with the disaster of the Iraq war and so on, the left in this country has never been given the grace of, of setting a foreign policy agenda, even in opposition, right? It's always been, different shades of neocon thought, I think, arguably. And so to me, there is this like, I don't know how, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Like, to me, there isn't a like the process. Actually, here's how I'd put it: the process critique. It's when you're rummaging around in the drawer for how you're going to respond to something. It's the biggest tool. It's the first thing that your hand finds. And part of like what the obligation is of people who think correctly and have political ideals that you agree with is that they've just got to make their answers the biggest, best, most appealing, and only useful response to the crisis. How much agency people actually have to make that the case, I have no idea. That's it's the test of politics. But it is, to me, the only way in which you are able to win people over is to convince them, no. It's forget the process stuff. You've got to just like say that more war is bad. Putting plowshares into bombs is bad. We're destroying our way of life. You've got to open people up to this a bigger, more developed, I think, understanding of what a left foreign policy could be, other than just, tepid opposition to what the Republicans do when they're in power, and then soft continuations of their policy when Dems are in power.
Yeah. And here is the perfect representation of Democrats not taking ownership over this unimaginably popular bipartisan idea amongst the base of support, and a right-wing grifter taking advantage of that messaging vacuum. Tucker Carlson versus the Economist.
Clearly, I think you and I agree. We have both been critical of the Israeli government. I just want to kind of clarify terms a bit here.
Well, I've really been critical.
Tucker taking a second there to be like, do I say it? Yeah, I'm going to say it. Like, you can just see, because it's like it's like a 98-mile-per-hour fastball, middle of the strike zone. Like, come on, lady. Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Your editors were caping for Israel immediately after October.
I've told you at the beginning that we were against this war.
What do you think of Gaza?
What do I think of Gaza?
Yeah.
I think the war in Gaza, to start with, was a perfectly reasonable response in response to the horrors of October 7th. I think now the places, I mean, I've been there. Have you been to Gaza? I've been to Gaza since the war started.
They would not
it's
let
catastrophic.
me into Gaza. Trust me, very few journalists get into Gaza.
Yeah, no, I went with the IDF. It's the only way that you can go in, but nonetheless you go in and you see a flattened place. I think it is a disaster for the future of Israel, a disaster for the Palestinian people, a horror, 70,000 people dead.
Why would you describe it first as a disaster for the future of Israel?
Oof, such a good
tens of thousands.
That's a bar. Like, this kind of shit is endlessly appealing to the average person because they understand it. They understand what's going on. They already had their suspicions, many of which would have been considered anti-Semitic. These suspicions would have been considered anti-Semitic not that long ago. But now it's the majority suspicion, right? It's the majority opinion, it's the majority suspicion. And it's correct. It's correct to raise that question, to be like, why do you say Israel first? Oh, it's a disaster for Israel? Tough titties. Would you say World War II was a disaster for the Nazi Germany project first before you have a conversation about like the Holocaust, before you talk about the real victims? It's fucking ridiculous, right?
Thousands of civilians murdered, but it's foremost a disaster for the future
No,
of
I didn't
Israel.
say
No, it's
foremost.
foremost a disaster for the families of the dead kids.
Absolutely. I made 3 points.
Because
let me
everybody
just
sucks up to Israel in this way that suggests they're afraid. And everyone is afraid, and you know that. Everyone's like, the real problem is calling people anti-Semites allows real anti-Semites to flourish. It's like,
Okay,
no, actually, the real problem with calling people anti-Semites who aren't is accusing the innocent of a crime they didn't commit. And the real crime in Gaza is killing people who did nothing wrong. So those are the real problems, I would say. But no one can say it because you have to be like, oh no, but really, October 7th
I don't know what you're talking about, Kaz. We're having a
Everyone watching this knows what I'm talking about.
It's true. Yep. It's true. Like, he's cooking. He's fucking absolutely cooking, okay? It's ridiculous. And it's one of those things where in the room, you might think, depending on the rooms that you are in, you might think, oh, you're saying the right things for the watchers of the Economist, right? But in the outside world, this video is going to be published. And when people see this video, they're not going to agree with you. They're not going to look at you as like a person who actually is doing a great job holding, Tucker Carlson to account. This shit's going to go fucking viral.
Because there is, by the way, like where you could have a dialogue with Tucker Carlson about how, hey, listen, you talk about all this stuff and you talk such a huge fucking game about how much you hate Israel. And yet, like, you go to the White House, you still have a relationship with the people whom you condemn as like being handmaidens.
The number one antidote, the number one fucking counter for the likes of Tucker is literally to say, you've been very critical of the ethnic supremacy that Israel represents, and yet you've spent an entire lifetime making similar arguments about making America the exact ethnic enclave that you want to design it as, where you talk about legacy Americans.
I think
he has no answer for that. Like, because these guys at the end of the day want Israel, but for their in-group in America.
Also, I would add one other piece to that too, which is that they want Israel for their own in-group, but that they know that the only way that they can get to that, like at this moment, like right now, because this is the most visible thing about Tucker's politics right now. And when I hear from people anecdotes about family members who are getting turned on to some weirder political takes, let's say, a lot of it does come through like this exact, like libs love the phrase like radicalization pipelines and sort of figurative language like that to describe what's going on. But I mean, like, this is how it happens because somebody like him is able to, like essentially speed run past these contradictions because they recognize the incredible. I mean, like this is low hanging fruit. This is the easiest issue on which you can outflank the political establishment, no matter what side you're on.
Especially because my big fear is that Tucker Carlson is actually winning favor with liberals. He's not actually winning favor with the Republicans. Like, there are still Republicans who respect him, right? They might have a disagreement with him on Israel, but they still respect him nonetheless. And those Republicans might actually play ball if Tucker Carlson is the next candidate, right? Because maybe they place a higher degree of priority on like making America a WASP nationalist country, which is Tucker Carlson's primary purpose here. And what's terrifying about this is he's actually reaching to the other side of the aisle and winning favor as an earnest communicator against Israel at a time when the National Party is not doing that, because there is unfortunately a massive information and leadership vacuum on the issue of Israel. Okay, on the Democratic Party side. This is a huge problem, and I don't think people are recognizing that this is a huge problem. It's very frustrating. Those liberals aren't liberals because you don't know who Tucker Carlson is at this point. I don't know what to tell you. Brother, I think you're oblivious to how little people pay attention. This is a highly clippable, highly salient, very viral moment. They see that, and that's all they know about Tucker Carlson, and that's it. And the only reason why Tucker Carlson gets to be this guy, the only reason why he gets to be this person is because, unfortunately, in spite of the fact that this is a 90 to 10% issue on the Democratic base of support, the party is not acting like it's a 90-10 issue. Okay? That's it. When Chuck Schumer comes out and says, like, my primary purpose is to defend Israel, I'm going to make sure that Israel gets all the funds it needs to continue waging its war, at a time when Americans are totally aware of what's going on in terms of Israel taking the driver's seat on our Middle Eastern policy, it's the Democratic Party is not even leaning into their own base. They are,
and also like
Tucker's
like asking questions. So it's like, is Tucker Carlson a Zionist? Like we literally the Gavin Newsom. That's essentially what he's. He got asked more similar questions by Politica, where he talks about how he is a Zionist or whatever. And I think that like if you're going to do the split screen of how politicians in the Democratic Party, how high profile figures are responding in this moment, it it hews closer to the Gavin Newsom side of the spectrum, where it's like halting criticism of the state of Israel combined with an affirmation in the an affirmation of the underlying ideology for it. And I think for somebody like Tucker Carlson, it just seems extremely clear. Oh my God, that is wild.
Tucker Carlson has a minus 27% approval
I did not
rating.
realize it was that negative.
Nick Fuentes has a minus 6%. What the
Okay, but
fuck?
look at the name. That's not, you can't do Nick Fuentes.
Clavicular has a minus 2% because they don't have name recognition.
They've
chatters.
none. The Tucker Carlson thing,
am I on this list? I'm surprised that they didn't put me on this list, considering that they fucking... Zohran Mamdani's only at +1. That's crazy.
What's the source for this?
I don't know.
Yeah, James Fishback at an 11 to 7 + 4.
Yeah. What is this? National polling by TPSI official. Jeffrey Epstein is at a +12 approval. Wait, what?
No. That's a lie. He's down. He's the negative 70.
He has a 12% approval.
But that's what I mean. I mean, I like these kinds of polls.
Nah,
to me
this
always
poll is bullshit. There's no shot. There's no fucking shot.
I mean, directionally, I think that there's a lot of truth to it. But that's kind of it.
Yeah, no shot. 12% approval for Jeffrey Epstein. Look two above Zoran, Charlie Kirk at +3. Yeah, get the fuck out of here. And James Fishback has a higher approval. Aiden Ross has a higher approval than Zohran Mamdani. Yeah, this poll sucks dick, brother.
I like 50 public figures. They went with 50. Also, I love who's in this that's a politician. Gretchen Whitmer.
Ben Shapiro at +8. Kai
Mark
Cenat at +9.
Mark Levin at +7 is pretty funny.
Yeah, no, this is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous poll. Throw
Pete
it
Buttigieg.
Was this polled in Tel Aviv? Yeah, this poll coming to you straight out of Tel Aviv, baby.
It's yeah, because that actually is like Netanyahu.
It's the best poll. You are an anti-Semite if you do not like this poll.
Listen, in Israel, sometimes we have a poll. I mean, he does. I actually realized last night how much Netanyahu sounds like Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men.
Yeah, and he also behaves like him too, so it's perfect.
Step out of your car, sir.
Yeah.
The Palestinians
Epstein
will not step out of their car.
Epstein would be plus 90 if it was pulled in Israel. True. That's how we know it's not pulled in Israel. You're right, Chatter. Why would
Mr. Arafat, I'm asking you to flip a coin.
Ross Barker says, I had a very good conversation with a very prominent right-wing person recently. Won't say who it is, but it was for a book I'm doing. And he said flat out, conservatives who do not know how to hit Zohran Mamdani, they're outflanked the way Trump used to outflank the left. Yeah.
I think that's right. I think that
they don't know. Because he's doing the
Trump.
method.
Trump like supported the Iraq war. Trump was like, we need 1
method.
million dead Iraqis. And then he's like 10 years later, he's like, actually, we went into Iraq. It was an awful mistake, and it worked for him. It worked. It didn't matter that he was lying. Partly because it just doesn't matter.
Yeah. Look at what Tucker is doing and what Zero Dems are doing. Yeah, I mean, Tucker Carlson visiting the Palestinian refugees in Qatar who were wounded during the Israeli genocide in Gaza.
And by the way, people around the world see this. I think that it's one of the things that I actually really resent about the people don't know who if you don't know who Tucker Carlson is by now, you're a fucking rube. It's like, all right, I'm sorry that 7 billion people around the world did not watch Crossfire in the fucking 2000s.
Or like his 2016 run at Fox News where he's on a tear about leaning into straight up white supremacist narratives.
Yeah, no, when he was doing his nightly,
and he won that too. The Republican Party does great replacement theory messaging with regular frequency. When at a time when Tucker Carlson was doing it, he was first to market in such a position of prominence, right? All right,
I'm gonna go now.
Okay. That was a big fucking deal, guys. That was a big fucking deal when Tucker Carlson did that shit. I remember I covered it. I covered it extensively. That was new. And now it's no longer an issue at all for many prominent Republicans.
Bye, chat.
All right, Noah's out for now. He might be here later.